the Grouchy Nerd.
Alright, you antisocial weirdos, it's time to learn a game that can play at the ideal player count. 1. Set a Watch, designed by Todd Walsh and published by Rock Manor Games and Tabletop Tycoon, who very kindly provided me with a copy. It's a dice pool management adventure game that sees you in control of an entire fantasy adventuring party. You'll choose 4 adventurers and use their abilities to fend off monsters each night until you reach your final destination. Each round you'll set a watch of 3 adventurers, while the 4th tends to the fire at camp. The game is played over 9 rounds, and your goal in Set a Watch is to have at least one adventurer survive the final encounter. This is also, interestingly enough, the closest I ever get to camping. It's playing a game about camping, but in climate control with easy access to indoor plumbing. First, take everything out of the box and unfold the lid to form the camp board, which I think is really cool, except then it leaves you with no place to store the unused components unless... I guess that's what expansion boxes are for. Select 4 adventurers. No true solo option on this one. You're going to be piloting all 4 characters. Each adventurer comes with a unique board which shows their class, 3 ability slots, the dice type that adventurer uses, either 6 or 8-sided, a camp action, and their attack type, either ranged or melee. Take the 5 ability cards for each of your chosen adventurers and give them each 3 dice of their indicated side count. For each adventurer, shuffle their stack of ability cards and deal 2 face up in the first 2 spaces, then deal a 3rd face down and place the other 2 cards nearby. Separate all enemy cards with this symbol. These are the Unhallowed. Shuffle the Unhallowed, then without looking, place 1 face down in the Horde, which is inside the box. Then draw 7 additional Unhallowed cards and place them face up in a stack below the board, and place the rest somewhere out of play. I normally say inside the box. Gather the 4 summon cards and use these to set the game's difficulty. For an easy game, use 1 summon card, a normal game, use 2, a hard game, use 3, and for you sadists who insist that losing games all the time is fun, you can go ahead and use 4. All set up for normal. Set aside 2 acolytes, then randomly choose 28 of the remaining creature cards and place the acolytes on top, then remove the remaining creature cards from the game. Shuffle the creature deck and divide the cards as evenly as possible into as many piles as there are summon cards. Shuffle 1 summon card into each pile, then stack the piles. If you're using 4 summons and therefore have uneven stacks of cards, the smaller stacks are going to go on the bottom. Place the creature deck below the board with room for a discard pile called the graveyard. Creature cards have a name, their base health, powers or effects that creature does, and the creature's type. And this is how much damage they do to your adventurers if not defeated by the end of the round. Damage done to your heroes takes the form of exhausting abilities, but this is paid as a group, so if one enemy is doing 1 damage, then only 1 adventurer is going to have to exhaust 1 ability. Prepare the map deck by first setting aside all location cards with the respite or final location symbol. Shuffle the remaining location cards and draw 8 without looking at them. Then take the final location from the set aside cards and add that to the bottom of the 8 main location cards and place them here. Then take the remaining locations, including the set-aside respite locations, shuffle them together to create the unused locations deck and place it inside the box where indicated. Draw the first location from the map deck and place it on the current location box, and put the fire token on the 7 firewood space along the firewood track on the camp board. The firewood track represents the strength of your campfire and will determine how many creatures your adventurers can see, indicated here. More on that soon. Each location has a name. If it's a respite or a final location, that will be indicated here, and any conditions or effects of that location will be listed here. This number is how many creatures you'll encounter at this location, and this one is the firewood modifier. You're going to ignore this first one as we set up, but in future rounds, you're going to move your firewood token up or down the indicated number of spaces. Usually down. Almost always down. Last, set the rest tokens nearby. Each adventurer must rest at camp exactly twice throughout the game. Each turn plays thusly. Roll all 3 dice for all 4 adventurers, then decide which adventurer will go to camp while the other 3 go on watch, and proceed to the camp phase. If it's the first time this adventurer is resting, give it a rest token. Otherwise, flip their rest token over. Refresh one of their exhausted cards by flipping it to its ready side. Then resolve each of the camping adventurer's dice one at a time in one of the following ways. Chop wood to advance the firewood token by 2 spaces. Doesn't matter what the value of the die is, it's only ever going to go up by 2 at a time. And you can do this with all 3 dice if you really need to, but do note that your firewood maxes out at 15. Anything beyond that and you're just wasting dice. Scout ahead allows you to draw and look at the top 2 cards of the creature deck, then return each to either the top or bottom of the creature deck. You can also do this one with all 3 dice, though each successive die that you place here must be of a higher value than the previous die. Spend a die whose value is 4 or more to check the map. Draw the top card of the map deck and the top card of the unused locations deck. Choose one to go on top of the map deck and place the other on the bottom of the unused locations deck, though you cannot use this action to swap out the final location. Spend a die whose value is exactly 6 to heal. Refresh 1 exhausted ability card in play. So even on an adventurer on watch, which is a pretty big deal. An adventurer with no active abilities cannot participate in the watch phase, and if ever all of the adventurers on watch have all exhausted their abilities, you lose. Place 1 die of any value here to equip one of the camping adventurer's unused abilities. If the swapped ability was exhausted, this new ability must also come into play exhausted. Each adventurer also has a unique camp ability on their adventurer board, which can be activated once per camp phase. If your die results have any matching values, you have the option to activate a rune. Place 2 dice of matching value on the back of the next location card to perform one of the following. Seal by searching the graveyard for an unhallowed card of your choice and move it to the bottom of the unhallowed deck. Vanquish removes the top card of the horde from the game. Or bolster the watch members, allowing you to re-roll as many dice as you wish. If all 3 of your dice match, you may do all 3 rune actions, or you can do 2 of the rune actions and then use 1 of the dice to take a camp action. So one more time, after refreshing an ability, the adventurer at camp is going to resolve all 3 of their dice in one of the following ways. Chop wood, scout ahead, check the map, heal, equip, use their special camp action, and or activate a rune to seal, vanquish, or bolster. Also, I feel like now is a good time to point out that the backside of any unused adventurer card has a really nice reference of everything that you can do, because that's a lot to keep in mind. When the 3rd camp die has been resolved, move on to the watch phase. Check the creature number on the current location, then draw and place face down that many creature cards from the creature deck to form the line. I guess the creatures never heard of General Pickett. Pickett's Charge from the Civil War, from the American Civil War. It's funny. It's funny. If you ever need to draw from the creature deck when it has no cards remaining, shuffle the graveyard to create a new creature deck. Check your current fire level to see how well your fire is illuminating the battle. If your fire level is 1 through 6, you'll flip over 1 creature card. From 7 to 12, you'll flip the first 2, and at 12 or higher, you can see the first 3. Flip these cards 1 at a time, resolving any special powers or abilities before flipping the next. Once a creature has been revealed, it will stay revealed, even if your fire dwindles to a lower level. When you reveal a summon card, the summon is immediately triggered. First, one adventurer on watch must exhaust 1 of their available abilities. Then the summon card goes to the graveyard and is replaced in the line with the top card of the unhallowed deck. And summon cards always trigger, so even if a different card ability is letting you get rid of an unrevealed card, if that unrevealed card turns out to be a summon, it still goes off. When all revealed creatures' abilities have been resolved, it's time for combat. Your options in the watch phase are much simpler. You're either going to attack or use abilities. You may attack creatures directly by spending and combining dice to deal damage equal to the total of the dice value. Melee adventurers can only attack the creature in the first position, and ranged adventurers may attack either the first or second creature. So you might be able to see 3 creatures, but even ranged attacks can only target the first 2. Remember that this value is the creature's health. When a creature is defeated, it goes to the graveyard, and each creature in the line will move 1 space closer to camp. Then reveal any creatures necessary based on the fire level, and resolve any new abilities. In addition to direct attacks, adventurers may spend 1 of their dice to activate 1 of their unexhausted abilities. Each ability may only be triggered this way once per round, however these abilities may also just be activated at the cost of exhausting the ability. Which means, should you really need to, you could use an ability twice in a round, once by spending a die on it and once by exhausting it. Some abilities are passive and are active as long as they're face up. If your campfire ever starts to get a bit too low for your liking, you can also exhaust an ability of an adventurer on watch to raise the campfire level by 2. And if your campfire ever reaches level 0, you must do this. Continue taking actions until all of your dice are spent and you have no more actions you wish to exhaust. If there are any creatures left in the line, they now get to attack. For each damage that the attacking creatures do, the adventurers on watch must exhaust a card as a group, then add each creature who attacked face down to the top of the horde. When each creature from the line is in either the graveyard or the horde, the round ends. Flip over a new location card and adjust the firewood level by the number here. Then begin the next round by rolling all dice and choosing one adventurer to go to camp. Play continues in this way until you reach the final location. In the final round, there is no camp phase. Everybody goes on watch. Set the line as normal, then draw each card from the horde and place it at the end of the line. If there are no creatures remaining in the line at the final location and you have at least one adventurer with at least one active ability, you win. Otherwise, you lose if at any time all adventurers on watch have exhausted all of their abilities, or if you must draw a card from the Unhallowed deck and there are no Unhallowed cards remaining. And that's how to play Set a Watch. Now get out of my tent. No, why am I in a tent? No, I don't like the wilderness. I like the Wi-Fi. The Grouchy Nerd. Now it's time to dial in and face the complications of It's not that kind of watch. Hands. It just says hands. Couldn't work that one in?